There's a chance you might have noticed that through the past year, I've become more and more convinced and more open about the fact that I'm convinced that the alt-right is full of ignorant and bigoted extremists. I've long suspected and talked about the idea that the moderate conservative belief system of smaller government, less funding for public institutions like schools, lower taxes for the rich, could lead to the situation we currently find ourselves in. And now that it's happened, I can't exactly hold my tongue. A disturbing number of conservatives are absolutely bonkers, and a much larger number of conservatives are okay with that as long as it gets more conservatives into power, pushing a mostly conservative agenda. In other words, what I want to make clear here is that the people who disagree with me are immoral and unintelligent. Anyway, in the news today is a new study published in the Journal of Research and Personality, building upon previous studies that suggest political polarization in the United States occurs because members of each of the two major parties tend to perceive their counterparts as being immoral and unintelligent. Ooh, uh-oh. Am I the baddie? Okay, so the idea that people make moral judgments about those in the opposite political party is hardly new. Researchers have known for quite a while now that we become polarized in two different ways. One is ideological polarization. That's the idea that I disagree with the policies that you champion and vice versa. And then there's affective polarization, which means that I think you are stupid and evil, and vice versa. We can't really help the ideological polarization because that's just a straight up difference of opinion. For example, let's say that you are in favor of government providing vouchers for students to attend private schools using public money, and I am opposed to that. Morality has yet to enter into the equation concerning our differences. We just want different things. Affective polarization is malleable, though. You might think I'm stupid to not realize that allowing parents to choose between public and private schools would force public schools to get better in order to be competitive with private schools. Or you might think I'm evil because by opposing a voucher program, I might be denying a lower income Black family the chance to send their child to a better funded school in a different district instead of forcing them to send their child to a failing local public school. And I may think that you're stupid to want to implement a system that research has shown will lead to worse outcomes for students. And I may think you're evil to take public money away from secular public schools only to give them to private religious schools that will indoctrinate children into belief systems that should remain separated from our government. But for all of those points, you could easily replace stupid and evil with mistaken and values different things. And someone who did see it that way would be less politically polarized. So this paper looked at how affective polarization might be moderated by something known as intellectual humility. That is the understanding that I am a flawed human being who might be wrong about something. So I'm going to critically examine my beliefs in the light of any evidence that might suggest that they're wrong, and change my mind if the evidence compels me to do so. In other words, a true skeptic with a capital S. Obviously, a lot of people call themselves skeptics who wouldn't know how to evaluate a closely held belief if it walked into their office for its annual performance review with its own self-assessment already filled out. Okay, that metaphor kind of got away from me, but you know what I mean. Skepticism, though, truly is intellectual humility. It's the idea that I fervently believe something, but should I? If someone presents me with evidence that counters my belief, will I dismiss that evidence out of hand, or will I consider it in good faith? So, researchers asked more than 800 people to fill out surveys to find out how they score on intellectual humility what their political preferences are, and how they feel when they imagine a person from the opposite political party. Do they feel disgust, contempt, fear? They also ask them things like, how much money would I have to give you to vote for someone from the opposite political party? Which is honestly one of the dumbest survey questions I've ever heard. My answer would be 0. Not because I'm not willing to vote Republican, but because my vote is not for sale. That's illegal. That's not how it works. Anyway, they found that people who were high in intellectual humility scored lower on effective polarization. So that's it. I'm not intellectually humble, so that's why I think that the thousands of people who stormed the Capitol last week are stupid and immoral. But wait. No, there's more. This paper also found that people who were high in intellectual humility scored lower on the other kind of polarization as well, ideological polarization. That is the one that isn't really up for debate. So this might mean that people who scored higher in intellectual humility were also just more likely to be politically apathetic. Maybe it's a case of someone saying, well, I don't have all the answers, so who am I to take a position on this? Who am I to villainize the other side? And that's what I really want to highlight here. Reddit, where I found this study, seemed to assume that this was a paper that was doing a both sides situation. Like Republicans and Democrats both see each other as evil and stupid. They can't all be right. Therefore, they're all wrong. And only the intellectually humble are in the right. Right? Well, no. Let's take something that has become politicized, but is really just a straight up fact. Anthropogenic global warming. Scientists have formed a consensus that says it's really happening, and we should do everything in our power to stop it. Democrats tend to agree and think that Republicans are either stupid or immoral for not taking action. Republicans tend to disagree and think that Democrats are either stupid or immoral for trying to take action. There are plenty of people on both sides, though, who don't really care. They don't know enough about the issue to argue about it, so they will score well on intellectual humility. Like, I don't know, I could be wrong. And they could score low on effective polarization. Like, that person just has a different opinion, that's fine. All of that fits in with what the study is showing, but at the end of the day, there is a right and a wrong answer. Anthropogenic global warming is happening, and the people who deny it are denying it for certain reasons that it's okay to take note of. Those reasons tend to fall into a few camps. Either they're ignorant of the data or refuse to accept the expertise of scientists, i.e. they're dumb, or else they know it's happening, but they have financial interests in continuing to behave the way they always have and to not switch over to alternative energy sources and whatnot, i.e. they're immoral. No matter how you look at it, there's no intellectually honest way to say this is just a difference of opinion. It's not whether or not you think grapefruit tastes good, which it doesn't. It's whether or not you understand and accept reality. So, yeah, don't worry. You can be a skeptic, an intellectually humble person, and still know that the people who committed armed insurrection on the United States Capitol are credulous idiots and or immoral assholes. But it's worth remembering that that doesn't make all of your political opponents stupid and evil, or that you should treat them as subhuman. I guess what I'm saying is that, as the old saying goes, it's healthy to keep an open mind, just not so open that your brains fall out.